Hello and welcome to this session of the Isle of Wight Story Festival. If you're tuning in hoping to see Jennifer Killick talk about her scary book, Crater Lake, I do have a little bit of bad news for you. Unfortunately, Jennifer isn't able to join us this time due to unforeseen circumstances, but I do have some good news for you too, and that is that our brilliant storyteller, Sue Bailey, has stepped into the breach, and she's going to be telling you some scary, but not too scary, stories. And Sue's also a really big fan of Crater Lake. So if you're a fan too, Sue will be talking about the book at the end of the session. And she'll be joined by Richard Simpson, who some of you may know as a book blogger, and others might know as Mr. Simpson from Summerfields Primary School. And his class has been studying Crater Lake and have had Jennifer in as a virtual school visit. So he knows loads about the book, and they're both great enthusiasts about it. So they'll be able to talk about it. You can ask some questions about it too. And actually, that's something I need to say. If you do want to ask questions, and we do encourage you to make comments and ask questions, we do have a few house rules. And the first one is, please don't share any personal information. So nothing like the school you go to, your full address, things like that, okay? Also, if you're under the age of 12 years, we do ask that you're accompanied by an adult. The other thing is, of course, if you are making comments or asking questions, do play nice. So don't say anything mean, because any bullying comments of any kind will have to be taken down. I know you wouldn't do anything like that anyway, but just be careful what you say. Okay, so that's enough of me. Let's, without more ado, introduce you to the fabulous Sue Bailey, who's going to tell you some spooky stories. Over to you, Sue.
Thank you very much, Peter. Oh, wow, how lovely to be here. Oh, the Isle of Wight Story Festival has brought some great things at a time of year when it's a bit dark and dismal. But I expect lots of you have been going out for your daily exercise, walking in the woods or by the beach. We haven't had any snow, but, well, if you go for a walk, do you sometimes get a bit fed up? Well, my sons used to get, like, oh, well, we're nearly there, I've had enough. And so I'd start telling them stories. And stories are a great way to make your legs work without realising. I was told this story by a teller called Taffy Thomas, who lives up in the Lake District. And I want to share it with you. And then you can share it with somebody else. There was once a storyteller who was also a piper, a wandering storyteller who earned his keep by telling tales and playing music and doing a little bit of mending and helping out. It was a good life most of the time, but in the winter, when it was cold and snowy, sometimes it was hard. And our storyteller, he would be given a few coins maybe and some food, and in return for a story or a song or something. But his shoes got worn out through all his tramping around the lands. Well, shoes, actually, they're really boots. But I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but the sole of his boot came apart from the top bit, so that when he walked, it kind of flapped. Not very comfortable, especially if it was snowy. And one day, he'd been trudging through the snow, looking for the next place where he could rest his weary head, and his feet kept scooping up the snow, and oh God, it was cold toes. When all of a sudden, he stubbed his toe. And if you've ever stubbed your toe when it's cold, it really, really hurts. What was it, he wondered? What had he stubbed his toe on? And he pushed the snow away with his foot. And as he pushed the snow away, he realised, there's a boot down there. And he pushed away a bit more of the snow, and the boot had an ankle sticking out, and the ankle was attached to a leg. And he pushed away some more snow, and he realised there were 2 boots and 2 legs, and the legs were attached to a body, and the body had a head, but the poor person was dead. He must have perished in the snow, and the snow had fallen down on him, and it was so cold. It was frozen solid, like iron, so that when our storyteller had stubbed his foot, it had felt like iron or rock. Well, he obviously couldn't do anything for this poor man who had died. And he thought about it, and he thought about those boots. And he thought about his boots with the flappy bit. And he thought, well, this man doesn't need his anymore, does he? Well, recycling, and everything like that. I might as well use them myself. So he pushed away the snow, and he got hold of one of the legs, and he undid the laces, and he pulled. But he couldn't get it off. He tried the other foot, undid the lace, got hold of it, and pulled. But no, couldn't get it off. But he was a resourceful character, and he had his tools with him. And he had a look through his work bag, and what did he find? A saw. Ha. So he got the saw, and he lifted up one of the legs, and he started sawing. One of the boots, with the foot still inside, fell down into the snow. So he picked up the other leg, got his saw out, and down fell the second boot. Oh, yes! He picked up his gruesome trophies, tied the laces together, and slung it around his neck. And off he went. He could see in the distance a light. He thought maybe he could find some shelter that night, and he could change the boots. Oh, yeah. So off he went. The snow was coming down thicker, and as he got closer, he could see through the lit windows there was a man and a woman, and they were just sitting down to dinner. And he thought, oh yes, I've timed this just right. I might even get myself some food. So he knocked on the door. And reluctantly, the woman got up and she opened the door. Yes? And the storyteller said, oh, well, I'm a travelling storyteller, and I just wondered whether I could maybe have a bed for the night and a meal. Now, the farmer's wife she'd only cooked enough for herself and her husband, and she thought, I don't really want to share it. But this was snowy, and she thought, okay, fair enough. Well, you can't come into the house though. Look, you can go in the barn. And so she showed him where the barn was, and she gave him a little bit of food to keep him going, and said that she would bring some hot porridge in the morning. And then she left him. Well, that's the fate for storytellers, Sometimes they can live like kings and queens, and sometimes they're like paupers. So he thought, well, fair enough. It's warm, it's dry, and there's even a cow to keep me company. Okay. So he took his gruesome trophy off from around his neck, and he put it down, and he kind of made himself comfortable and ate a bit of food. And then he looked at the boots, and they were still pretty rock hard. And then he looked at Daisy the cow. She was, down in the hay, munching away, chewing the cud. Thought, oh, yeah. I'll tuck the boots underneath her, and her body heat will melt the ice. And so that's what he did. And then he made himself comfortable. He slept pretty well. And in the morning, when he got up, he went over and looked at Daisy the cow, and he pulled the boots out from underneath her. Oh yeah, soft and squidgy they were. Now, he got hold of one of the feet, and he pulled, and out came a foot. Oh, leaving a very fine boot behind. He got hold of the other one. He got hold of the ankle, and he pulled, and out came the second foot. Oh, he put the feet down, and then he tried the boots on. Oh, yes, they fitted perfectly. Oh, bliss. He was going to have nice dry feet today. But then he thought, what shall I do with these feet? And then he had an idea. He might play a little trick. A little trick on the farmer and his wife. And so he picked up the feet, and he picked up his old battered boots with the bit that flapped, and he shoved those gruesome feet inside them. And then he took that pair of boots and he put them by the head of the cow, of Daisy the cow, still sat there placidly chewing away. Nom, nom. And then he hid and waited. It wasn't very long before the barn door opened, and in came the farmer's wife carrying a big bowl of porridge. Steaming it was. She came over and she was just about to start speaking, and she looked down and, oh my goodness, Daisy the cow has eaten the storyteller. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh no. Who knows he was here? Oh my goodness, we're going to be got for murder. Oh no. She ran back into the farmhouse to tell her husband, and he came in and he was scratching his head and he was thinking, oh no, I don't know what we're going to do here. This is a bit serious. And they decided they would just bury the feet. You know, nobody need know. So they went out and they got some spades and dug through the snow, and they dug a hole that was actually 2 feet square. Put the feet in, buried it, and then went back inside. Phew. Well, nobody need know about that. And, out in the barn, the storyteller thought it was the funniest thing he had ever seen. He had got them good and proper. Well, he slung his bag on his back, he tightened up the laces on his new boots, and off he went. Well, he hadn't gone very far away when he suddenly realised, oh no, he hadn't told them a story. He hadn't sung them a song. He hadn't even done any work in the barn. And that's not good luck to leave without paying your debts. And so he thought he'd better go back. So he went back to the farmhouse, and as he got near, he got his pipes out and he started playing music. Inside the farmhouse, the farmer and his wife looked out and they saw, oh my God, it must be a ghost. It must have come back to haunt them. The 2 of them. Well, that was it. They did not want to stay in that house anymore. They had to get away. They grabbed their stuff and they ran as fast as they could and as far as they could. Well, the storyteller saw them going and thought, what a waste of breakfast. Look, the table's laid with all sorts of nice stuff. I think I might go in. I think I might just go and help myself to that food. So he did. He went in. He shut the door. And he sat down and he started eating the food. Outside, while the wind came up, And he looked out and there was snow swirling around. And he thought he was very glad to be nice and toasty inside. Yeah, it was just starting to kind of nod off. Looking down admiringly at his boots. When there was a knock at the door. Oh, he thought, who can this be? So he got up and he went over to the door and opened it. And outside there was a figure of a man, and he was like covered from head to tail in snow on his head and on frozen. And the storyteller said, oh, come on inside. Come and warm yourself. Come and warm your feet by the fire. And the figure looked at him and he said, I would if I had any. And that is the end of my first story. If you, happen to be wandering around in the snow, mind you, on the Isle of Wight this year, we've just not had any snow, have we? But you can live in hope. I mean, it is only February. We've got another few weeks where we might get some snow. But do watch out what you stub your toe on, and think twice about changing your boots. So, that's my first story. Yeah, scary tales. Yeah, you know, Jennifer Killick, she wrote a good book, Crater Lake, that's a bit scary. And lots of people quite like scary things and scary tales because they know it's not true. It's just a bit of a laugh, really. And so I've got another story. And this is a story that I have known so long, I have no idea where it has come from. People kind of tell you tales and you take them in and then they become part of you and you share them. And it's always nice to be able to say where you've got a tale from. And I have to admit, I don't know where this one's from. So if you know this story, maybe you can let me know afterwards where it's come from. But make sure you tell it to somebody else. Because that's the way that stories live. It's been being passed on from one person to another. Now, this story is set in a woodland or in a forest, a little bit like Parkhurst Forest, which is a forest on the Isle of Wight. I'm sure lots of you know it. Yeah, there's a really good bit in this forest where you can ride your bikes and it's got like kind of bumps where you can go up and down and jumps, and there's a rope swing. If you've known Parkhurst Forest, you'll know exactly where I mean. Our family, our boys, they used to go and mess about there. We used to call it the bumps. They go there and have quite good fun. So in your head, you should have now the vision of a forest, tall trees, tracks, a good place to meet up with your friends. Well, it should have been. You see, there was this boy. He was called Joe, and he had arranged to meet his friends in the forest. And he got there on his bike, and he was looking forward to playing, like messing about on the bumps, but also they used to play it, like they'd like tag each other and then rush off on their bikes or running. And well, you must have played it. Yeah, lots of people call it different things, tag, it. You know what I mean. Anyway, there he was, waiting for his friends to turn up, and nobody turned up. And then it started raining. Yeah, it was like the Isle of Wight, where we get rain rather than snow. Oh, he wanted to find somewhere to shelter. Now, he knew that there was a house in the middle of the woods, and it had quite a big porch, and he thought, I know, I'll go there, and then I'll be able to shelter. Yeah, it won't be a problem. Yeah. So he went he cycled on his bike up towards the house, left his bike on the ground and went. And by now, he was like soaked Oh, and the rain was coming down like needles. Oh, it was horrid. And he stood in the porchway and he thought, oh God, this is horrid. Oh, I want to get out of this. And then he looked, and on the door just behind him there was this sign, and it said, welcome. Oh, come in. With a sign like that, that's what he had to do. So in he went. Welcome, come in, how nice. Yeah, that was very. So he went in, and it was just like a normal kind of sitting room. Yeah, there was a sofa and television and bookcase, but there was nobody there. But there was a table, and on the table there was a book, and the book, it said, welcome, come on in. This is kind of a shelter house. Lots of people come in here when the weather's bad. Stay as long as you want. Watch the television, read the books, do a drawing. But do not go through the door marked keep out. So I thought, okay, fair enough. So he sat down and he looked around. Yeah, there it was. He'd seen the sign, keep out. Yeah, it was on the door. Well, he wasn't going to go through it, was he? No. So, he read some books and put the television on. Got a bit bored. Where were his friends? Oh, God. He wondered, what was the other side of that door? He went over to it. He put his ear against the door. Couldn't really hear very much, just a faint sound. Do you think he should go through? Do you think he did go through? He just turned the handle and opened the door a little bit. And it opened into just like a hallway. Just a boring old hallway with a light. And he thought, well, why did it have a sign saying keep out? That load of rubbish. God. I wonder why it was on there. I think I'm going to go and have a look. So he went down the hallway, and at the end of the hallway, there was another door, and on the door there was another sign, and it said, no admittance. This means you. No admittance. Admittance. I think that means I'm not supposed to go through there. And he listened. And actually he could hear something. Low. Deep. I wonder what it is. I wonder if... Do you think he should go through the door? No. Do you think he did go through the door? He opened the door slowly, put his head round, and what did he see but a set of stairs, not going up, but going down. He went through the door and down the stairs, listening. The sound was definitely getting louder. And at the bottom of the stairs, there was yet another door. And on the door, there was another sign. It said, go away. This is your last chance. Whew. Okay, this is getting a bit serious. But now he could really hear something. And it sounded a bit like this. Oh. I thought, maybe it's something he's rescuing. There's something down here. There's definitely something down here. I can't just go away and leave it now. And he thought, do you think he should go through the door? No. Do you think he did go through the door? Well, he tried to, but it was locked. And then he looked around, and up on the top of the doorway, there was a hook. And on the hook, there was a key. Well, mean, you're not going to leave a key for a door if you don't want someone to go through it. So he took the key down, he unlocked the door, and he opened the door into a big room. And in the middle of that room, there was a cage. And in that cage, sitting on a stool, was a great big purple gorilla. A purple gorilla? A purple gorilla? He went in and he looked at it. And on the cage, there was this sign and it said, "Do not stroke the gorilla." Okay, he looked at it. And the gorilla, well, it was sat on this stool, really, you know, great big high stool, like this. And just in that moment, that gorilla, he just kind of went, he looked really sad. He didn't look cross or angry or scary or anything. He just looked bored and sad. Do not stroke the gorilla. He went round the back of the cage, and on the back of the cage there was another sign, and the sign said, "You can feed him. You can taunt him. You can hit him with a chair, but do not stroke the gorilla." Oh, okay. I can feed him. I can taunt him. I think that means tease him. I can hit him with a chair. Why do I want to do that? But I mustn't stroke him. Okay, I won't. And just in that moment, the gorilla went, "Oh. And the boy thought, he just looks really sad. And he had a look around and you never guess what, just nearby, there was a bowl of bananas. And he thought, well, I might as well give a banana to the gorilla. So he got this banana and he broke it off the bunch and very carefully he held it through the bars. And the gorilla just reached out and took it. And then he sat there and he peeled the banana. And then he ate it. Nom, 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 nom. And then the gorilla went, "Oh. Hey, come on, gorilla," said the boy. Come on, cheer up. I've just given you a banana. Come on. Hey, gorilla, it says I can, you're a big purple gorilla. And you know what that gorilla did? It went, It was so sad. That poor gorilla. And the boy thought, well, okay, I've tried feeding him, I've tried teasing him. Well, I'm not going to hit him with the chair, but maybe I could just kind of poke him with it. And just inside the cage, he could reach it. There was this chair. So, he put his hand carefully through the bars of the cage and he picked up the chair and he prodded the gorilla. Hey, gorilla, come on, cheer up, come on, don't worry, you'll be all right. And the gorilla, I expect you know what it did. Yeah, oh yeah. It just went, And that boy, well, he looked at the gorilla and he didn't, he just wanted to cheer him up. And he looked at the gorilla and the gorilla's fur was so soft and he he just wanted to cheer him up. And so he put his hand through the bars of the cage and he stroked the gorilla. And the gorilla went, "Whoa!" And the boy, he jumped back and he thought, "Oh my God." And the gorilla came over to the bars of the cage and he went, "Whoa! Whoa!" And he started climbing out after the boy. And the boy, he ran so fast. And he came to the first door. And on the back of the door, there was a sign that said, "Told you so." But he didn't hang on. No, he ran back up the stairs as fast as he could. And he could hear the gorilla coming after him. Whoa, 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 whoa. And he got to the top of the next stairs. And there was another door. And on that door, he saw the next sign. And the next sign said, "Don't say we didn't warn you." But he couldn't hang around. He wanted to get away from that gorilla and he charged down the hallway. He charged as fast as he could, but he could hear the feet of the gorilla coming up behind him. He got to the last door and on the next door there was another sign and it said, "It's all your own fault." But no, he didn't hang around and he suddenly remembered outside was his bicycle. He'd be able to get away from the gorilla. So he charged out. He charged down the steps. He jumped onto his bicycle and he could hear the gorilla coming up. And he thought, "Don't, I'm going to get away." He started pedaling and he pedaled and then he hit a root and he went crash down onto the ground. And when he looked up, there was the gorilla coming up behind him. Ha, 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 ha. And the gorilla leant over him and with his great big black claw bent down and poked him. And as he did, he said, "Ha! Gotcha! You're it." And that's the end of the story. So next time you have a walk in the woods, and if you're with somebody who's getting a bit kind of tetchy and fed up, you could try telling them that story. Because stories are meant to be told, they're meant to be shared. It doesn't matter if you don't remember all the words, as long as you get the idea. It doesn't matter, as long as the gorilla doesn't get you. Or you can just pass it on. I mean, who knows? Maybe if you find the house in the woods and you go in there and you go down into the basement, you might find a cage, and inside that cage will be the very boy that the gorilla attacked. So now it's your turn. Okay, so there we go. A slightly scary tale. I bet you weren't scared at all. I mean, who's ever seen a purple gorilla to start off with? But that's the great thing about stories, is that in stories, you can make anything you want happen. Also, yeah, I don't know if you might have noticed this. This is my troll protection badge that I made as a result of watching Holly's troll stories this morning. She told me that if you have something like this, it can protect you from trolls. Do you believe that? Do you believe in trolls? But it doesn't matter, because the good thing about stories is that in stories, all sorts of things can happen that help you kind of cope with all sorts of peculiar positions and situations that you wouldn't normally come across. And that kind of takes me to Crater Lake. Oh, Crater Lake. Yeah. Oh, Crater Lake by Jennifer Killick. Yes. If you have not read this book, you should. It's a bit scary. Some people might call it a horror or thriller. But it's good too. I want to introduce you to somebody called Richard Simpson, who is also a fan of this book. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Sue. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Very good indeed, yes. So, Richard, can you tell us a little bit about Crater Lake?
I certainly can. Yeah, it's a really, really good book. I've used it with my class at Summerfields Primary a couple of times now. I read it for the first time last year when we were looking for new or slightly exciting books to read, and someone recommended this one. And it's a bit different to some of the books I would usually use because it is quite scary, like you said. So I was a bit wary of using it to start with. I wasn't sure if it would be too scary. But we've got very brave students at Summerfields Primary, so we decided to give it a go. And yeah, we absolutely loved it. I think the children loved it because they recognised themselves in the story slightly. It's in a nutshell, it's about a end of year six school trip, and they go to this activity centre called Crater Lake. And things really don't go to plan. So I think my year sixes really liked it because they could see themselves, looking forward to an end of year trip, going somewhere like, we've got these PGL or UKSA. Imagine going to one of those places and something terrible happening. So they really saw themselves in the story. And yeah, things at Crater Lake really don't go to plan, do they?
They do not. No, it's yeah, they're the very first visitors as well, aren't they? So, I mean, it should all be brand new and everything should be perfect. But even their very first dinner was a bit disappointing, I seem to remember.
It was, or even before they got there, things got bad, didn't they? I mean, they're on the coach there, and somebody stumbles out of the bushes and smacks his hand against the windscreen of the bus and leaves this image of a bloody handprint down the front screen of the bus, and you don't know who he is or where he's come from. And so it's a really good sort of mystery story where you're not quite sure what's going on, and there's lots of clues, and there's an evil head teacher. All good stories need an evil head teacher, don't they? I'm not going to say anything about Summerfield's primary head teacher. I'll get in big trouble. But every good story needs a slightly scary head teacher in it, and there's definitely a scary teacher. There's a really, really nice message in it, though. I mean, we're saying it's a scary story, but actually it's a really nice story because it's a group of children who get together, and it's a bit about how they solve problems together and they overcome difficulties. And some of the children don't have a particularly easy home life that you find out about, and they've kept that secret from their friends, but they share that, and they all come to terms with things like that as well. So it's a really nice story that way as well. But like you said, it is a slightly scary story, but I think that children really enjoy it for that reason, because everybody likes getting a bit of a fright, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like you say, it starts off with a really good, very powerful opening as well, so that that like when you see this person who's kind of bleeding and there's disoriented and things, it makes you feel, oh, what's going on, and you want to kind of read on. And very quickly you get drawn into the kind of tension. And Jennifer Killick, she quite often puts kind of cliffhangers at the end of each chapter as well, doesn't she? That makes you want to carry on and find out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so all those cliffhangers, like I say, it's a really good sort of like a mystery story. So you've got all these little puzzles that in your head you're trying to make sense of, is that person really a goodie or a baddie, if you want to use those words about it, or can you trust that person, or are they quite what they seem, or what's going to happen next? Those cliffhangers, like you say. It's also really funny. I mean, we laughed out loud in class at some of they're really sort of year six jokes about funny smells coming from body parts of children, and funny words, and the way they speak to each other, and those. I don't want to spoil anything in the book, but there's one really funny moment in here about an embarrassing story that one of the girls tells about a sort of date that she's been on with another of the children, and it had us in absolute stitches because everybody's got those sort of cringy stories as well. So I think that's what made it really enjoyable. It does have that scary theme, but there's all that other stuff going on as well.
Yeah, I think just coming back to the humour part that you were talking about, when the things are absolutely at their worst in the story, when it seems like, you know, they're just not going to be able to get out of the really bad situation that they're in, they remember this funny incident that you were talking about, and they're all laughing about it. And the main character, Lance, he sort of says that it's just so amazing that in the midst of such a bad thing, that you, by laughing together with friends about something, it was actually making the best moment of his life so far. And it kind of, it sort of shows you that the power of friendship and of laughter and kind of working together, that could really carry you through difficult times. And I thought it was just put so well, that section, really, when they're all like having belly laughs, remembering a shared joke. It was, yeah, very, very good in that respect.
Yeah, it's a really nice message, isn't it, about you know, doing things together and coming together, and every cloud having a silver lining and seeing light in the dark and all that type of stuff. And really poignant at the minute, actually, isn't it? You know, what we're doing here, sharing these stories at the Story Festival is bringing stories and sharing them together and seeing some light. And unfortunately, not in person at the as it would have been, but it's still a fantastic festival, and we're still getting that message out there. So it's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Were there any characters that you particularly warmed to in the book?
I think I really liked Lance and Chet. Those were the friendship between those two, I thought, was really nice.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you know, there's an element of their friendship where they have a falling out, and it's about being able to get over a falling out and how they still really care for each other, and the friendship comes back together again at the end really nicely. So I thought that was nice. And I thought the way that the character changed of Chet's as well actually was really nice, because he started off being sort of the character that the other children maybe poked fun at a little bit. And he developed the confidence by the end of the book because of what he'd had to go through and the problems. He was a more confident, you know, ready to move on to high school sort of character. I thought that was a really nice way of showing that growing up and primary to high school. So again, that sort of link that we used in the Year 6 classroom there was lovely as well.
Yeah, and just how like there were some really strong female characters that I warmed to very much, both Adrienne and Katya as well. I really love the way that they were really integral to the story, and moving things on through their kind of courage. And Adrienne's her suggestion that you need to face your fears, and you'll actually find that you can cope much better than you think you'll be able to. I just think that there's some great messages in there. It's just, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good read, and it's slightly scary, but everything comes all right in the end. Yeah,
really, really good. But I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed reading it. And you know, the good news is that there's if you enjoy it, there's a sequel coming out later this year as well, which I'm sure Jennifer would have talked about had she been here. So the sequel is Crater Lake Evolution. And that is coming out later this year, and it has some of the same characters, and it follows them as they've moved on to high school, and they get involved in another adventure. And if you enjoyed the characters and the scariness of the first book, the second book is just as good with those characters as well. So it's a really nice follow-on from that too.
Well, who knows? Hopefully, maybe we can get Jennifer to come. She can actually come to the Isle of Wight next year, and we can talk to her both about Crater Lake and her next book. So that'll be something to look forward to. But we just hope that she carries on writing, whether she manages to make it here or not, because we enjoyed her story so much. And I know that she's written quite a few other books as well. So yeah, I'm going to look out for even more of them. Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Richard. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the book at all, do you think?
No, not at all. Just to recommend it wholeheartedly. I think it was nominated for, it was in the Book Trust Book Buzz Awards. So the Year 7 students were all, I think a lot of them could have ordered a copy of that. So if Year 7s, if they go back to school, when they go back to school, if they speak to their school librarian or ask about their Book Buzz vouchers, I think they could probably order that, or a selection of books from that as well. So that might be worth investigating for pupils out there who might be listening to this as well. Ask your school librarian about the Book Buzz scheme, where you can get books for your school library. And Jennifer's book was one of the ones on that list this year.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Yes, and of course too, like as part of the Isle of Wight Story Festival, there's a bookshop in Cowes, a lovely local independent bookshop called Medina Bookshop, and they are stocking all the books from that the authors from the Isle of Wight Story Festival are promoting, or so you'll be able to get your copy of Crater Lake through them as well. So if you can go through a book bus, do contact your local library, get them to actually stock copies of this as well, because it's definitely such a good book. It's worthwhile sharing, telling your friends about, and then you can use it to sort of help formulate your own stories and just work out ways through your life as well. And if you're just about to move on up to high school, just know that you'll cope as well, just like all of this lot did. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you've enjoyed the slightly scary tales from me, first of all, and also our little discussion about Jennifer's book. If you have got any questions that you would like Jennifer to answer, I'm sure that if you post them in the comments below the YouTube, we can forward them on to Jennifer, and you can we can somehow, we'll post on Facebook her responses to them. So thank you very much, everybody. This is going to be the end of this session, and very soon too, then you'll have a chance to do some drawing with Jules as she shows you how to draw dolphins, and lots more good things coming on tomorrow with some amazing authors. Tomorrow we've got Tom Palmer, Rupert Faruqi, we've got the amazing Emergency Turtle with their shadow puppet performance. Lots and lots of good things. You can actually do a shadow puppet workshop with Emergency Turtle. They're going to show you how to do that. So you just need to make sure you've got some card and some scissors and a torch, like something like on your phone would probably work well for that. Something like a stick so that you can attach it to it, and maybe a cardboard box as well, so that you can make your own screen. Oh, and some tracing paper. Now that you might have to use some ingenuity to try and find, but who knows? I'm sure you'll find something, or find out a way you can use a sheet or something like that, or tissue. You'll find a way to do it. But join in with the Emergency Turtle workshop tomorrow lunchtime, and join us with Tom Palmer and Rupert Faruqi and Catherine Rosati. I think that's everybody. But if you want to know what's going on, look at the Facebook page where there'll be a list of the schedule of who's appearing tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining us for the Isle of Wight Story Festival. See you again soon.